we're just gonna start it off talking about the good old Cleveland Brownies, the Browns. I guess the first biggest thing that people have on their minds right now is the fact is Baker Mayfield. Is this the year that he becomes elite? When we say elite, we're talking about like on the level of like Patrick Mahomes and just big time quarterbacks. We know that Baker is good because he has this cycle of where like he'll be really good one week and then he'll get like kind of like hyped. He'll hype himself up and he'll talk to the media and say like, "Oh, you know what? I felt dangerous this morning." And then he'll go out into another game and he'll just bomb it and he'll suck. And then he goes into a little depression and then he repeats it over and over again. So the question is, can he be elite this coming up year?
Yeah, that just means can you not suck for any of the weeks? Yeah, like
Go
go ahead. Oh shit. Okay. Honestly, I think so. I think he got himself over the hump a little bit. The tail end of last season, having some playoff success. I feel like you can just build off of that. I think at some point we were talking about the Browns. I can't even remember what we were talking about. But we were talking about if Baker Mayfield can find his way into the not winning MVP, but it being in the conversation. And
Yeah.
I said he could, and I'm still gonna say that. I still believe that.
I mean, I remember there was this one game that he looked really good. I think it was against the Tennessee Titans last season. Like he was just hitting random people, making. I'm like, who was Peoples Jones? Like who is this guy? And then I'm just like, okay, like Baker's actually hitting people, and then for the most
Yeah.
part, he's doing it without OBJ. So
Yeah,
he's making these receivers that are not. Jarvis Landry's good. Okay, don't sit here and shoot me down. But I'm just saying, like he's doing it with like guys that are
Rashad
not D
Higgins.
Hop, that are not Devontae Adams, that are not Michael Thomas. He's just
Yeah.
making average receivers look good, and that's what elite quarterbacks do.
Yeah, he was he was dotting you guys up too in that
I think
Lamar
that was a
Jackson
Thursday
poop
night
game.
game. Yeah, where
Yeah,
it was like 40-41. It was that was a game of the year if you ask me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Lamar Jackson had to run back from his dookie to come back and save the day because Baker was throwing so many dots.
yeah. I mean,
It was quick
that's a
strike
whole
too.
that's a whole nother episode right there. I mean, I could talk about that game for a whole hour, but the fact that
Yeah,
we had Trace McSorley out there holding us down for a minute, and then I think it was just that was a crazy game. And but no, the point is Baker Mayfield, he balled out that game, and that's yet another example of can he be elite? And I just think this could be the year that the Browns actually overcome the Chiefs. Maybe. I don't
well,
know.
you were talking about how he makes all the receiver no names that he was thrown to last year, and it brings up the conversation of why exactly was he and the offense better post Odell injury? Like
I'm,
I'm
if you
trying,
ask
like to
me,
me, like if I was trying to go inside the locker room there, I'd have to imagine that when you have a guy like Odell, you feel pressured to force a little bit potentially,
yeah, yeah.
trying to get him involved. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch every Browns game, so I could totally be wrong about that. But it's definitely something to note that they were like a 500 team when he was playing, and then he went down, and they just
Yeah.
kind of took off.
Yeah, no, I think you got a point there. Just, I mean, OBJ is constantly in your ear, like, throw me the ball, throw me the ball, throw me the ball, I'm going to be open. Like, that's definitely got to play some type of mind game on Mayfield. Like, he's probably looking there a couple times before he actually makes a throw.
Yeah,
Instead of just finding the open receiver and throwing the ball, like he's trying to force it to OBJ. I think you got a good point.
so it's interesting because like obviously he's going to come back this season, start the season, and so it's going to be interesting what happens if they're like 3-3. What do you do? Like because they were I don't remember what week did he get hurt in? I'm drawing a
It was
blank.
early. I
They
wanna
were
say
like
it's
2-2 or 3-3 or something like that when he got
they were
hurt.
probably like week 4 through 6. I don't
Yeah,
remember the exact week.
they were a 500 average ass team. He went down and they only lost like 2 more games the rest of the
Yeah.
year or something like that. So if he comes back and they're 3-3 again, so you're like, let's just say for argument's sake, you're 9-2 last season without Odell.
Yeah.
and you're combined 6-6 with him for the last 2 seasons, like you gotta start thinking like, what do we do here? Do we? Somebody's gonna give you something for Odell Beckham Jr.
No,
I would like for it to fit because I think that would make them super dangerous if it works out, but. It's definitely something that we're going to have to watch in the early part of the season. Like, is their offense struggling somehow with him on the field again, like we did last year?
yeah. I mean, so we could think about it that way, but we could also think about like, well, maybe it wasn't entirely OBJ that made them. I guess let me hear me out. So you got the arguably the NFL's best offensive line. So you got Wills Jr., you got Joel Bitonio, you got Treader, you got Wyatt Teller, you got Jack Conklin, and then you got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt back there. So it's almost creating that effect of like, okay, we have the best line, and then you have almost like the Derrick Henry effect, where it's just like we're going to bite down on the run game so much, and therefore the pass game is going to get open. So do we think that's the reason why they were so successful last year, or was it because there was the missing OBJ?
It could be that. It could be that they started figuring out the proper game plan on offense.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely the best way to do it. When you got Nick Chubb and Hunt out there, just feed them behind the offensive line, make the defense concerned about that, and then start throwing lasers in the second half.
Yeah.
Because you see the success that Tannehill's had, and Baker Mayfield can easily do the same thing.
So, it's just the question of I don't truly think they found their identity quite yet. Like, I think last year they adopted the run. We're going to be that physical ground and pound game, and then we're going to throw it if we have to. But I feel like this, on paper, the Browns look really good. They can pass, they can run, they can do whatever they want. But it's just like last year, like with OBJ coming back, are you balanced? You're going to be more run, you're going to be more pass. Like, what is this team really? Because we can look at last year, and obviously I think Nick Chubb and the offensive line was a big piece. And I think Baker Mayfield actually taking advantage of the run game working so well and kind of play action. So it's just like, what does it still keep the same identity as last year, or do they incorporate OBJ into this now, or they totally disregard him? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, no, definitely something to look out for, and we'll have to see what happens. Like you said earlier, anytime you're talking about a team from the AFC, the question is just like, can you beat the Chiefs or not? Like, that's the only thing anybody cares about, to be honest. Because if you can't beat the Chiefs,
it doesn't matter.
Guys, let's be honest, okay? Especially when your team is good. Y'all Browns fans, you finally got to taste the playoffs last year. So now guess what? Now it's like Super Bowl or bust situation. You can't just be like, oh, we made the playoffs now. No, you already did that. Yeah. It was cool last year to make the playoffs, and that's it. Like, if the Browns were lost in the first round, we still would have been like, wow, Browns, good job. You made it to the playoffs finally. Like, that's good stuff.
Now, can you beat that?
Now you got to go higher. And, the team that knocked you out was the Chiefs. So, therefore, that's the goal. And, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, they can beat the Chiefs. They just have to do it. Yeah. Last year, like, I understand Mahomes got hurt, and it was a little bit of you can't really grade it too much in the second half of that game.
Yeah.
But I want to make something very clear. My man, I think it was Higgins, fumbles the ball out the back of the end zone at the 1 yard line. If that doesn't happen, we're looking at a super close game going into halftime. Instead, the Chiefs get the ball back, they go down and score again, and it gets a little bit ugly in the first half. But the 2 inches away from the goal line that he was when he fumbled the ball changed the whole game.
Yeah, they should make a rule. Just because you said that.
I agree. I agree with that. I thought the same thing when it happened too. I thought that's the dumbest rule in the world, that it goes to the other team if it fumbles out the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
So stupid. Because that deters you from like trying to score there. Like, you would just, okay, I'm just going to go out of bounds now.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid of fumbling and going out of bounds and getting the ball back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of people on Twitter that, even people that don't like the Browns, they were like, that rule is stupid. Because if that happens to your team, you're pissed too. Like, that's some ass. You go 99 yards down the field, and they didn't recover the fumble. They didn't recover shit. It just went out of bounds in the end zone. You get penalized. Come on, bro. I disagree with that. Maybe you could get like a yardage penalty, like a 10 or 15 yard penalty back up a little bit, but you should not lose possession.
They don't know where to put the ball if it came out the end zone. I would just say, just like, okay, where were you? Where was the line of scrimmage? And maybe back up 5 yards, like penalize.
Yeah, 5 or 10 yards. You give
but don't straight up give it to the other team.
Yeah, that's tragic. That's tragic. I've always thought that. Anytime I see that happen in the game, I'm just like, that is the dumbest thing. in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know who came up with that idea.
Now, real quick, I know we're talking about the possibility of the Browns beating the Chiefs, and I'm sure that makes a lot of you Browns fans like go nuts. But I mean, it's even more possible because of the draft that you just guys had. Greg Newsome and Jock, and
Yeah, I
I
can't
mean,
believe that
Smith
shit.
can probably sit here and talk about Jock for 15 minutes, getting passed up on.
I'm
Um,
fuming.
but does these two pieces now give you the perfect formula to go ahead and beat the Chiefs?
Yes. So
And
also because like don't forget they added John Johnson III, who PFF has as like the second best safety in the league.
yep,
And we're not going to talk about the PFF rankings because those are ass cheeks, but I'm not going to sit here and act like John Johnson isn't one of the best safeties in the league. So that was a
yeah,
huge addition. Grant Delpit was hurt all season. He's coming back.
yep.
You got Greg Newsome. Obviously you still have Denzel.
Denzel Ward, yeah.
Yep, and then you have a Myles Garrett, you add Jadeveon Clowney, like the list goes on, and then
So good on paper.
you get Owusu Koromora, who was a top 15 prospect at 52. Are you dumb? They had an insane offseason on defense, absolutely insane,
Yeah, it's definitely
and that was their weakest point. They gave up a lot of points last year
yeah, exactly.
in big games. So
It's definitely an intimidating team as a Ravens fan. I would never thought in my entire life I would ever say I'm scared of the Browns.
yeah, like
But here I am.
JOK, like he fell in the draft because apparently he had some like
He
there's
had a
something with his
heart
heart
issue?
thing. If that heart issue never comes to fruition, I mean, you guys had 2 first-round picks basically.
I mean, look at Montez Sweat. He also had a heart problem, and then now he's
Yeah.
balling in Washington. So it's just
Heart
like,
problems do affect you, but a lot of the time they just never come up. So
just take care
if
of
you
yourself.
watch his film and then think to yourself that you picked him at 52, bro, oh my gosh.
Steal.
And they traded up too. They were like, honestly, he probably would have felled you at 54 or wherever you were at, but they traded up to get that. They were like, no, sir.
Yeah.
A lot of teams are going to regret that. But like I said, when you have a heart issue, I can understand that you're a little bit like, damn, there's a chance that he could never play ever. So
Yeah,
I
it's
get
true.
it. You watch what happened with that fucking, that soccer player the other day in Denmark where he actually died on the field for like 3 minutes and they had to resuscitate him on the field.
Damn.
Like that kind of stuff, you obviously have to pay. You hear heart issue, you got to pay attention to it. But
Well, to be fair, I think
if it
soccer
never-
is way more cardiovascular exercise. Like you're just literally running
That's
back
true.
and forth on the field for I don't know how long. Where
Isn't
at
that
least,
fascinating?
they at least take a break. Defense
isn't
and
that-
offense, you sit on the bench.
isn't that fascinating that you can be like, you're playing a sport that keeps you in the best possible cardiovascular shape in the world and you still have a heart attack?
Yep.
People want to see it. Like, stop telling the fat guys to eat McDonald's because you can have a heart attack for no reason, bro. I swear to God, there is no science
True.
behind this stuff, man. It's all universe. Anyways, yeah.
Let's talk about your boy real quick though, because
Yes, Nick Chubb is my favorite running back in the NFL
Yes.
besides Kamara, bro. I swear to God.
So I guess the question for me is he a top 5 running back? Like, can I go
Yes.
into fantasy next year and feel comfortable taking him as like my starting running back? Obviously,
Well,
obviously yes, right?
Fantasy
Well,
a little
okay,
bit
let me back that up.
different
What
because of
if
the
like I'm
passing.
playing fantasy, Saquon's taken, Kamara's taken, Christian McCaffrey's taken?
First
Like,
of all, Nick Chubb is better than Saquon. You got AK and Christian McCaffrey probably if you're talking about fantasy because they catch so many passes, you got AK and Christian McCaffrey first.
yeah, of course.
And then Derrick Henry, of course. He's the
I'm
best
saying like
power
is
runner.
Nick Chubb number 5? Even in fantasy or in NFL, just is he a top 5 running back?
Yeah. I'm trying to run it through in my head right now real quick. Who else is up there?
And no jokes. Lamar Jackson, no jokes. Come on, for real though. Nick Chubb, I
You got-
arguably could say top 5.
Yeah, so right off the top of my head, you got Derrick Henry. Then you got Kamara and Christian McCaffrey together. And then like who else would be ahead of Chubb, honestly?
I mean, I'm trying to run through the league in my head, all 32 teams. It's crazy.
Me too.
But I mean, nothing's coming to my head immediately.
He's probably four. Nick Chubb, to me, I listen, people are going to be like, well, he has the best offensive line. Well, so what? Good for him.
Yeah.
To me, he's like, in terms of pure running back, he's second behind Derrick Henry. And that was proven last season when he came in second in rushing yards. Like Christian McCaffrey and Kamara do a lot of other shit that make them elite also.
Okay,
But in
here we
terms of
go.
just downhill running, yeah,
Let me
go
throw a
ahead.
wrench in. Let me throw a wrench in real quick. All right, Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones,
No,
Ezekiel Elliott.
nope,
Do you put Nick Chubb above those guys?
absolutely. The only one that's relatively relevant there is Dalvin Cook, but I would have Chubb at 4 and Dalvin at 5.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott last season, he got to prove something to me because he fell off a cliff last season. I don't know if it was his health or what was going on, but he got to get it together.
And then you got Aaron Jones from.
You got
Green
Aaron
Bay.
Jones,
That's about
like
it, though.
Aaron Jones is good, but he's not Nick Chubb though.
I think he's just a product of Aaron Rodgers. Like they're biting
Yeah,
on
I
the
think
fast
Aaron
so
Jones-
hard.
With all due respect, I think Aaron Jones stayed in Green Bay for a reason, bro.
Yeah.
I think he knows that's where he's going to make his bread at. He would have got paid elsewhere. Don't get me wrong. He had
For
bigger
sure.
offers elsewhere, but I'm just saying Green Bay makes him look good. I'm not sure if he was like the main focal point of the offense. Like if he went to, I don't know who's got a shit. If he went to the Eagles,
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he would be as good, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's just a question in itself. Like, is
Nick Chubb is good everywhere.
It doesn't matter like what makes him like we can always sit here and argue like is it the line or is it the running back that makes the running back, I guess. But I mean we can sit here and argue that like sure the Browns have a top end offensive line and that's what makes Nick Chubb so good. Like we don't know. The fact of the matter is can
You say
he
the same
have
thing.
top 5 rushing yards, rushing touchdowns this year?
You would just say the same thing about Zeke anyways. If that was the argument, you'd be like, well, Zeke was only good because he had the offensive line too. So you
I just
obviously
know
have to
people-
have an offensive line to run. Like that doesn't even make sense when people say that.
Yeah.
No, name a running, like I'm sure that people will have examples in the comment section, but like I suppose one example would be Chris McCaffrey. Their offensive line's not the best.
Yeah.
But the Saints have one of the best offensive lines out there. The Titans have a really
Vikings
good
not
offensive
bad.
line.
Yeah.
Vikings not bad. Obviously the Browns are goated. God
Packers
tier.
Always pretty
Packers
good.
are, yeah, until now.
Until they give up people like
Until now.
yeah.
The last 5 years, though, yeah, the Packers. So yeah, that's not really an excuse, but you have to have a good offensive
you
line.
can't
to
have
be a
one without the
successful
other,
running
I
back.
think. Right.
Yeah.